everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of FREAKQUELS. I'm your host, EJ Leeson, and with me today is the beautiful, multi-talented, wonderful smelling Rory Colorasi. How are you, sir?
I thought you were going to say all those nice things and be like, but we had to settle with Rory Colorasi. We had him. He couldn't show up. So
to be honest, Rory. I thought he was talking about me.
Yeah. Originally, I was going to go to Vince, but you were looking at me, and I just
got real awkward.
I got locked in on your eyes.
I thought like you were saying all those nice things about Vince, but then I started looking at you, and you're like, oh shit.
Oh shit. I should throw this to Rory. Yeah. And with us today, of course, the pod keeper himself, young Vince. How are you, sir?
Full. We ate too much on break.
Yes.
I ate too much on break. Yeah. That's my fault.
I think I had like 4 slices of pizza.
I starved myself, and I look great.
I look good over here. And we actually have 2 brand new special guests, good friends of mine and Rory's.
I don't like them, but that's fine.
Yeah. But please welcome to the show, Elle and Jon Snow. Say hello, guys.
Hello. I just woke up from a nap.
He had to put on pants. He was not excited.
If you
walk here,
if you want, take them off.
Yeah.
We actually have a very, very liberal view on the pants policy.
Actually, if you see, as we all stand up, pants. None of us are wearing pants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really awkward.
Theater of the mind.
It was really fun because they walked in and they saw us and they turned right around. Did some convincing.
No.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Trust me.
After seeing what you're packing, I'm kind of subconscious, so we'll see how I feel as we continue.
John, I'm hearing you talk right now, and I'm like, he's going to sound amazing.
Oh, it's so deep. Rory, it's
such
so
a
rich.
great voice.
It's very rich.
No, it's so good.
Keep talking for me.
But look at my eyes.
Baby making podcast.
Let's make some babies.
Great speaking voice.
But guys, today we are talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. Probably considered the best film out of the Nightmare films, right? I think, from what I've heard from fans of horror movies, out of all the Nightmares, this is the best one.
Yeah, it's always somewhere between the first and the third one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You could hands down say this is the best Nightmare sequel.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
I mean,
yeah.
If you say anything else, you're wrong.
Well, I have a lot of thoughts on Freddy's dad.
And John actually has personal ties with this movie, right? Like, do you want to give your...
It's more about the franchise in general. Growing up as a kid, I lived on Elm Street in Scranton, Pennsylvania, so I was terrified that Freddy was going to come and get me. So I didn't watch horror movies at all until I was like 19 or 20. And one of the first things I bought when I got a DVD player was the Nightmare on Elm Street box set. I just marathoned all the movies to kind of desensitize myself to it. So that's my roots in horror, basically.
Yeah.
And what was it like when Freddy did eventually come for you?
It was nice.
It was nice?
It was more sexual than he thought it would have been.
It was a little bit more funny than I thought when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it was a bit alright.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie is easily one of my favorite Nightmare sequels, as you said, the best sequel. I do have a partial soft spot for part 4. I really love 4 a lot, and I love the soundtrack of 4. But the soundtrack of this is amazing. Dokken does Dream Warriors, and it's probably one of the coolest songs of all time.
Especially in horror films.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that we have done that at karaoke before.
We have.
And nobody enjoyed it. In fact, their clientele slowly started tapering off after that.
Yeah.
And the bar was closed down the very next day.
Yep.
It was either us or the cockroach infestation, but...
I think more likely than it was you.
Yeah.
And the fire that I set.
But
Yeah.
But wasn't it cool though when the cockroaches actually joined us and started singing?
Yeah. That was awesome. They're like, Dream Warriors.
And people were throwing up.
Yeah, they're
awesome.
Get this out of my food.
No.
But
they think it's their food, okay?
Let's get into the movie. So the film starts off with Patricia Arquette, a.k.a. Kristen Parker. And she's making this papier-mâché house that looks familiar to any Nightmare fan. it is actually Nancy Thompson's house from the first movie.
When I saw that the other night, I had some really bad memories of when I was in like first grade. I made a paper mache volcano. Just embarrassing.
Really?
Yeah. Like I think the teacher just like felt bad for me. You know, they're like, you pass.
Yeah.
Because you're a good boy.
Did you get a D for effort?
They gave me a cookie and sent me home.
Okay.
I didn't get an education following that.
They just
It shows.
took the model and threw it on the floor.
Oh, this is great. We're gonna put it in the we'll see it again someday pile.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the secret to those paper mache volcanoes is no kid actually made them. You were supposed to have your parents make them for you, and then you bring it in.
Well, my parents were on a lot of pills at the time, John. Okay, so we all just didn't have that luxury.
Let
I tried
it
to take it though.
I'm just saying that's probably why it failed.
I tried to be honest.
But so Kristen's mom comes in, she interrupts her and tells her to get in bed, and Kristen's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure, mom, whatever." And then we hear this guy yell off, scream a little bit. He's like, "Hey, baby, where you at?" Right? Something like that.
No,
So
they're like, hey, where's the bourbon?
yeah, yeah. And she's like, "Oh, I gotta get going." And so Kristen goes to sleep, and she starts to dream of the house that she made, and she notices these kids jumping rope outside of it, and she makes her way to the front door and meets this little girl, which she calls the little girl like not just once but like 4 times. She's like, little girl, like when she's like going to try to track her down. Did you notice that?
Yeah, and then she's like, "What's your name?" And the little girl just kind of laughs, and she's like, "Oh, that girl's so stupid. She doesn't even know her own name."
She doesn't even know her name.
That did jump out at me when I was watching it. I'm like, does she not know her name,
She doesn't know her name.
or is she just a nameless victim?
But yeah, she chases this
Or Freddy
girl
Krueger.
into the house, and then we see the furnace lights up, and Kristen grabs the kid
And she
and
turns
makes
into
a
a
run
Cabbage
for
Patch doll.
it. Yeah. Oh my god. The fakest doll since like American Sniper, right? Like when it's just like she's running, you can tell it's just like not even a
They
kid.
spent all the money on the pig
Right.
in the dining room.
Yes.
And the
yeah.
pig looked great.
The pig did look really cool.
That's one of the ones you always forget it happens until you see it.
Yeah.
One of my thoughts during that scene was like, they have her in a nightgown, and I was like, because we know it's a dream sequence as the audience, but it's like, I've never had a dream at night where I'm in my nightgown.
I do all the time.
So I'm like, they think the audience is stupid, and we have to put her in a nightgown so that everybody knows she's asleep.
You know, that's interesting. I think every single one of these movies.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute! I just start fact checking myself. I gotta pull out now.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I think they all sleep in their pajamas, and I'm like, that's not true.
No. I think
Nancy does in part 1.
She got those cool PJs.
Yeah.
I went to a convention that she was at, and she had them.
She was wearing them, or she just brought them with her?
She just never took them off. She
Still,
can't let the
she's
roll
still
go.
wearing them.
No, she brought them just to kind of show her fans, be like, look, this is proof I was in this movie.
Yeah, I always sleep in the nude, so it makes sense that I'm standing
Every
in
time
front of
you
my
drink.
class naked.
You beat me to it.
Yeah. Damn it!
It's okay. Glad you took
Freddy
it.
comes around a corner for you, and he's like, whoa!
Whoa!
Wake up.
Buddy.
This is more of usually a game for me, but if you
Yeah.
want to get right to it, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm like, what's up, man?
It's usually more of a dance, but
I like your little hand. Yeah, he's like, oh,
If you act like into it, you throw off his timing. He's all confused.
I don't know. He's just like, oh, all right.
what's that?
Maybe that's how you get rid of him.
Yeah,
You just gotta make it boring for him.
He's
He's
got to
like,
call his bluff.
You gotta out creep him.
It's like
Yeah.
a game of chicken.
like,
Yeah.
oh,
Naked
At the
chicken.
altar.
I'm
There's
out.
lots of described nudity in this episode.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's more coming.
There's
It's really what most of the show is.
And it's gonna keep coming.
That Winnie the Pooh joke, it just keeps coming up in these episodes.
It does. So yeah, the furnace lights up. Kristen grabs and she's running with this Cabbage Patch Kid version of the little girl, and she wakes up to her mom walking in on her. And Kristen, we see blood smeared across the mirror, and her wrist is like cut open.
There's 2 things you blew past. I'm sorry, I gotta take us back. Gotta backstep it a little bit.
And, oh, it's cool.
Take us back, Rory.
That scene,
The oatmeal?
we know, like when she sees, the oatmeal. There's with that part where she like sees all the kids hanging.
Yeah.
That actually kind of triggered me a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that actually is what my theater looked like after Rise of Skywalker.
Oh.
Anyone?
No, we're gonna leave
I'll
that.
give you it.
All right.
So in the next scene, we meet Dr. Gordon.
And walks. It's real time with Bill Maher.
Yeah, he does look like Bill Maher, like a
does.
very young
Generic Bill Maher. Yeah.
And we get to meet like some of his patients and a very young Lawrence Fishburne, who
Larry.
No.
Larry
Yes,
Fishburne.
please, John.
Larry. Yes.
We're only going to refer to him as Larry Fishburne throughout this entire episode.
All right, or Fish, or just Larry.
Larry.
I call him the
Okay.
fish.
I'm down for massive confusion.
All right, perfect. But he plays an orderly named Max, and but we also get to meet Dr. Gordon, who he actually really cares about these kids and discusses how he's not crazy about getting this new
I want you to
outside
remember that.
help.
I'm going to bring that back up later, okay?
Yes, yes. But Dr. Gordon and his colleague, Dr. Sims, this very nice lady, got an emergency call to report downstairs. They get there and they find Kristen Parker is not really cooperating. And her mom says, she's just doing this to get attention. But yeah, she refuses to get sedated, even cutting Larry. And Kristen starts singing this nursery rhyme, and it's catchy enough to sing along to. Even Nancy from part 1 shows up singing and finishing this lyric.
She holds up a lighter.
Yeah, she's like,
Swaying.
5, 6, grab your crucifix. She's like, this is a
That's my jam.
yeah.
It's
this
a bop.
It's a bop.
It
This is
slaps,
fresh.
as the
It
kids
slaps.
say.
It slaps.
Yeah. So Dr. Gordon tells Nancy she's doing a great job in the new patient, because when she does come in and she finishes, the song, we see that Kristen reacts. She actually hugs Nancy Thompson. So Dr. Gordon compliments her on that, and he's like, hey, that was a great job. And he also spots the nun, kind of like he looks, after they kind of have a brief discussion, he looks and through the corridor or whatever outside, he sees this nun, and then she's gone.
She had to leave real quick to get back into her Conjuring movie.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
The nun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's just like,
Not
oh
valid.
shit, which franchise is this?
Which franchise?
It's like the Nun's Next Door.
That's the next set, lady.
You're in a much worse movie.
Wrong movie, bitch.
It's just Freddy. He's like, wrong movie, bitch. And he has a smoke.
Oh, well played, sir.
Yes. Max gives Nancy a tour of the hospital. Max is Larry.
Max, as played by Larry Fishburne. Got it.
Yes. Who meets the different patients. We have Kincaid, who's pretty awesome. I
Mr.
love
T. Jr.,
Yeah, I love Kincaid. Also, we meet Joey, who's this quiet patient who definitely is crushing on a nurse in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice, I thought when I was watching this, he has a teardrop tattoo?
Yeah, he's killed before.
Yeah, but then that goes away. Did you notice that? Did anyone
Yeah,
else?
it's not in the entire film.
Yeah.
I think he probably drew it on himself. The teardrop can also represent that you've endured something
Painful.
horrific or
Loss of
something
someone.
like that.
Yeah.
See, all my ones are just results of murders.
Yeah.
Why do you have so many?
Yeah, well,
But yeah,
I've
Nancy.
got stories to tell.
Not on tape though.
Not on the
We don't
Freakquels
want-
show.
don't leave.
My murder podcast.
Don't leave a
is
trail.
More of a confessional.
Yeah, but I'm
thing.
pretty sure the teardrop is only actually in that first scene.
Yeah, which I I remember seeing it when I was younger and thinking it was a tattoo at first, and then I was like, oh, whatever happened to that teardrop? You know what I mean? So, Nancy meets Kristen's mother and
Oh wait,
asks...
there's some other kids there too. There was Philip, right?
Oh, yeah, well, she didn't meet them yet.
Well, they met them first, right?
Oh, no, Philip. Yeah, Philip is in
Yeah.
Kincaid's room.
Did you
Yeah.
find it terrible when he's like, oh, this is Philip. We call him the Walker. And then he looked at Will and he's like, what do they call you? Wheels.
Stop.
What?
It was in the.
The X-Men.
That's an X-Men reference.
I got that.
Thank you.
I understood that reference.
that reference.
They call him Wheelie Wheelie Legs No Feeling.
They call you Wheels.
We are sorry for all our listeners
That's
who are
a
in
reference to
wheelchairs.
Bran the Broken from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, we're actually very insensitive here on FREAKQUELS,
But yeah, we see where Nancy meets with Kristen's mother and asks Kristen about, or she's asking about Kristen, but the mother doesn't really take it serious. Like, she's like, oh, probably for credit cards and stuff. And, but you could tell she doesn't really care, and that's called neglect. So
Nancy yells at her too.
she's like,
but her what she says to her, I always thought was kind of mean towards Kristen.
yeah,
She's like, there's other kids, good kids, smart kids. And I'm like, well, that's a shitty thing to say about Kristen.
yeah.
Like, Kristen
Unlike
doesn't
your
fall into
daughter,
the-
your credit
Anyone
card
else catch
stealing
that?
daughter.
I'm noticing a trend in these horror movies that the parents aren't the best. So
Right.
most of them are just
with
bad.
Nightmare
true.
movies is that the kids are all paying for the sins of their
parents?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna backtrack. Joey was the one who doesn't communicate, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm reading that the teardrop was to indicate to everyone that he's sad because he can't verbally express it.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Can we-
Interesting.
Should we just take that from the internet and say it was ours?
Yeah.
Let's
Okay,
do
yeah.
that. Okay.
I also like that one
last
tat-
part out then.
Was it? Yeah.
Where
no,
you said that.
that's why we edit.
Oh,
Thank you,
okay.
Rory.
There's also
Thank you.
that one little tattoo that he has on his cheek of a guy rubbing his stomach to let you know that he's hungry.
Nope.
And he's wearing a Three Jacks t-shirt, the guy.
I'll be fully honest. I saw this movie for the first time 2 weeks ago, and I had so many thoughts and feelings about this movie, and most of them were about Joey and his entire arc. And I feel bad when they introduce him. He gets a one-line backstory. He used to be on the debate team, and now he doesn't talk. And that is, tragic. I found myself, wondering what brought him to that point. Aside from just the dreams, because I feel all of the kids seem to have, issues that they brought with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering what his was.
Do you want a Joey origin story?
I
I'd be down for
have
that.
one. I'll get to it later.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
There's actually going to be a Disney Plus spin-off series
Yeah.
called Joey, called Teardrop.
Teardrop Joey's.
No, they'll probably throw it on something like, Amazon Prime or something, so I have to get another streaming service.
Tubi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on,
Shoot,
Tubi.
Quibi.
By the way, if any of you,
Bring back Quibi.
Yeah.
If any of these networks would like to give us money for mentioning you on our show, we'll do it a lot.
Yep. Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, HBO Max.
No,
what
it's
am I
just called
missing?
Max now.
Oh, it's just Max.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Paramount Plus. No, just
Oh wow, that actually a
Pornhub?
big bag of
Pornhub.
money just
Pornhub,
materialized.
yeah.
What was that sell?
I believe you said Pornhub.
Oh. Dr. Gordon.
As in the adult website.
So Dr. Gordon does some research because when he has that exchange with.
Can I just interject really quick and just make some observations about Dr. Gordon?
Yeah.
You could tell this movie was made in the 1980s because he has that weird we want him to be a leading guy type of energy, but he's more like Steve Guttenberg from Short Circuit.
Yeah.
They kept trying to do that in the 80s, and
Yeah.
it never worked. And then he obviously has a thing for Nancy, but there's that weird age difference, and you don't know if it's something her and her daddy issues, if she's about it or she's not. There's this weird tension throughout the entire film between them.
Yeah. Oh, I
I
totally
made
agree.
a joke somewhere down in this mess of notes I wrote that I feel
You've
like
written notes?
yeah, they're all on my wrist. So I to me in my notes it said something like Nancy must have been the very first single woman that was his age that he's ever met, because he's like, I'm gonna throw my career away for you.
Yeah. He is.
That is true, yeah, he does.
He's just on board. She's like, I want to give these kids some experimental pills. He's like, if you'll
Okay.
date me. I mean,
Alright,
yes,
then.
I agree with you.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, he's
absolutely.
resistant at first.
Yeah.
I know, yeah, no, he just says I don't think so, and she's like, but think about it. He's like, all right, you're pretty.
But are they even supposed to be the same age, or is he supposed to be a little
Well,
older?
do you know in the 80s
Everyone
how
was old?
men looked like they were 50 when they were 25?
That is true. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. He's probably 28.
He's
It's-
just a hard
it's-
28.
He's a hard 28.
It's essentially like when you're in grade school, you think every teacher is in their 40s, when
Yeah.
the majority of them are in their 20s.
I just turned 30.
Yeah.
That's true.
You look like a grandma. She's like, I'm actually 29 years old. Life was harder back when I was a kid.
Maybe that's it.
We used to walk to school.
Oh, you know, I think the Dr. Gordon spinoff coming out on Tubi is actually going to explain why he lives so hard.
Yeah.
Spoiler, he does live, though.
He does.
So that could happen.
Yeah.
I think we should write that and just put it up on Tubi.
Let's do
The
it.
Tubi original.
I love it.
Pushing hard for that Tubi sponsorship.
I want the Tubi sponsorship.
But yeah, Dr. Gordon earlier in the day knocks over Nancy's purse, and he sees like she's got these pills. So later on, he's at home and he's doing some research on
Did the pill bottle open?
No, I don't think so.
I think
It
he
just rolled out.
picked it up and looked at it.
Did you think
Yeah.
it was weird when Lawrence Fishburne walked over and picked up the pills and he's like, we have some blue ones and we have some red ones. Which one would you like to take, Nancy?
It's obviously the blue pill because
Yeah.
when we see them in Freddy versus Jason, they're obviously blue pills.
Yeah.
But with
So that's a callback.
That's a
in Freddy
callback.
versus Jason, to Nightmare 3.
Oh.
Yeah. And so he's looking on his computer about HYPNOCIL, which is the drug that he spotted in Nancy's purse. Back at the hospital, Kristen is at the hospital and she's starting to doze off and she starts to have like this terrible nightmare. By the way, how awesome was that shot of the door closing and the reveal of the house? Like she's like walking and then the door closes and it like zooms out. It does like
awesome.
the reverse like Jaws thing and it zooms out and you see she's like in the house. I love that
That's
shot.
so cool.
That's
Is
like
that,
one of
did
my
the
favorites.
bicycle come in yet?
Yeah, that's when the
It's
tricycle
not-
like rolls in and then it like starts to melt and stuff.
I had it in my notes that it was Pee-wee's bicycle.
He's just like,
I think actually the tricycle melting, that was in like the TV spots for the movie. So that always stuck in my head when I thought of the movie.
yeah.
Oh, that was in,
living
like-
your trauma.
Yes. This is before I'd actually seen the movie. But I did know a tricycle melted, and
I
luckily.
thought it was sore.
John, why do you suddenly have the tattoo of the tear on your
Don't worry about that.
He's like, actually, this is for killing people.
It actually just pops up naturally.
God, these are prison. Watch
It
yourself.
doesn't even draw it on. So in this dream, Kristen comes across Freddy, who tries to eat her. He like turns into this giant
Penis Freddy?
penis worm.
It was color corrected.
Yes, and Kristen calls out to Nancy, and she actually pulls Nancy into the dream. And when she does this, Nancy saves Kristen by stabbing the worm in the eye. And so the next day, Kristen explains to Nancy that she actually always had like this kind of gift, and she would pull her dad into her dreams. And the dad always thought it was his dreams, and he would be like, "Oh, I had this dream about you last
That's
night."
why he like lost his mind.
Yeah, that's probably yeah.
He's like, oh, it always make me feel better, but my dad unfortunately went mad.
Yeah, he went crazy because
All the crazy shit that he
crazy
saw.
unicorns and
He's
horses.
like, I don't know if this is a dream or if this is real.
This is
Did a
real.
lot
I
of
broke
drugs.
my father emotionally.
He did a lot of drugs in the late 60s. So.
I guess this is that trip they said that was going to come at me 20 years later. I wasn't ready for it.
I'm not ready now.
That unicorn's dancing.
But yeah. So then Nancy tells her that this is truly like a gift that she's able to do something like that. So then during group therapy, Nancy sits in and meets the rest of the patients like Will, Jennifer, Taryn, Joey, and Philip. And so that night, Will is playing D&D and with.
It's not D&D. They couldn't say that for legal reasons.
Oh right.
If I could just
it's
jump
like
back to the
Wizard
group
Master.
session, though.
Yeah.
I feel, and I know this wasn't intentional because all of the fear responses were just fight or flight back then, and they've
Yeah.
added some since, but I feel like the fear responses are represented in all the kids. With Nancy, you have flight because she's taking the HYPNOCIL, so she's obviously been running from Freddy the longest. To a lesser degree, you have the former addict and the D&D kid, those are forms of escapism. And then for fight, you obviously have Kincaid, who seems very angry and aggressive. For fawn, I think you have the girl who wants to be a actress because she wants people to like her.
Yeah.
And for Freeze, you obviously have Joey, who doesn't speak.
Right. Wow. That's incredible.
Hey, we don't welcome
Yes.
intellect into this show. Okay? Do not give us thoughtful analysis.
No, intellect we
told
want.
you.
We talk about not wearing pants on the show.
I told you I have so many thoughts and feelings.
Intellect we want.
No,
Logic we don't.
that's awesome, by the way, because when we were talking about that
Yeah.
at EJ's party.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to say something funny, didn't come to me. But yeah, you were explaining that to me, and I'm like, man, I'm real stupid because I've been watching this movie since I was like a little kid, and I'm like, well, pretty cool.
Well, how do you
It's
think I
cool.
feel? I mean, she only watched the movie because Halloween was coming. She's like, what are your favorite horror movies? And I'm like, well, this one I've seen it like 1,000 times. And then she watches it and she comes up with psychological theories, and I'm like,
There's like a
nuh-uh.
there's like a fly swarming around your head. It's like, oh.
did you see the nurse's boobs?
Yes, honey.
Yes, I did. But no, this is one of the reasons I was so pumped for you to come on, because when we talked about Nightmare 3, you're like, dude, I have so much to say about that movie. I can't wait. And I was like, you should come on the podcast and say all this stuff, because...
And here I am.
Yeah. But your analysis is always, like, on point.
I think when I was explaining my thoughts to you, John was like, this is what Elle does. She just overthinks every movie she watches.
No, but I love it. It's awesome.
My very
Knife
next
man goes stab.
my next note in here, it just says Neil's putting his career on the line to get with Nancy. So here we are.
Yeah.
Well,
Told you it was in there. I found it.
see?
I found it.
We can go back really quick to the dream penis. When Freddy's the giant worm.
Yeah.
In the film, they made the giant dream worm, and it looked just like a penis. That's why they had to color correct it, so it's kind of a greenish tint in the film.
Yeah.
But it's either in Freddy's Dead or Jason versus Freddy. There's like a montage scene where it's actually color corrected to look the color it's supposed to be, because they didn't want it to look like a giant penis.
They knew what they
Yeah.
did. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, well, they had to cover it up. Be like, maybe not. So
Do you think the effects artists were like, yo, you think we can get away with this?
Yeah.
It'd be so awesome.
Did you see all the Disney stuff?
Yo, Disney's got their thing. How about a new line? We steal that idea.
Yeah.
Dicks
let's do
everywhere.
that. Dicks
well, it's mainly
everywhere.
the shot where it comes up straight from the ground underneath her and has her.
Yeah.
If that's in full color, she's just being consumed by a giant dick. You know.
Yeah. It's just a giant dick coming from the floor. Cool.
I love freakles.
Which,
I love
if I were to
those.
theorize, dreams are very sexual and
Yeah.
and vampires and Dracula. Yeah, that fits, right? Don't look at me like that.
What are your thoughts on what John just said, Al? You're very analytical.
One of the Sandman comics, I believe it's part of the Doll's House. The Sandman is with someone in dreams, and she says, I've heard that when you dream about flying, you're actually dreaming about having sex. And the Sandman replies, then what does it mean when you dream about having sex?
There's a fly swarming around all of her heads.
Ah.
Right now. It's amazing.
Yeah, so that night, Will is
Boobs.
playing D&D with Taryn, Joey,
Wizard Master.
and Max. Oh yeah, I can't say D&D. But Max gives them the lights out, and it turns out they actually are taking shifts watching each other sleep. Because Will goes, you go ahead, you take the first shift, and then I'll wake up and I'll watch you sleep. So, but Nancy and Dr. Gordon are getting to know each other over some Thai food, and Nancy actually wants to push drugs onto the kids, and Gordon, Dr. Gordon's really not into the idea, and he's
Very
like, what?
experimental.
Yeah, it's very experimental.
I looked it up on the internet in 1987. So.
Yeah, I looked into it, and he has a pager. We'll get to that later. Nancy, yeah. So she's trying to push this onto him.
I had a pager once.
I still have your number.
And so back at the hospital, Philip has a nightmare that his puppet comes to life. To date, I think this is actually the best Freddy kill like ever.
Agreed.
Hands down.
Yeah.
It is so imaginative and just disgusting.
Kind of pissed off that you said it because I was definitely going to say it. And
We were all like white knuckle. I'm gonna be the
hot
first
take.
one.
Oh, it's not
This
a hot
scene
take?
started, and John pointed at it and said, "This is iconic."
This is iconic. this is it.
Was he the Leonardo DiCaprio meme?
Yeah. And he's whistling. So we have where, Phillips gets his like wrists cut, like his forearms cut open and his legs, and Freddy is kind of moving him along the hallways like a puppet.
A marionette.
Yeah, like a marionette. And in reality, people just think he's like sleepwalking. Even Kincaid wakes up and he's like, "Hey man, go back to bed." Ah, screw you, whatever.
Yeah, what a great friend.
I know.
It's like Joey and Will, they've got this system down.
Right.
Kincaid and him, not so much.
Yeah.
They need to work on their tag team there,
Oh yeah, and because you would think like Kincaid would be like, "Hey man," because if he's suffering the same thing, right? That he would be like.
But I think he's like a loner.
Yeah.
Like I think he probably separates himself from all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't seem like he's just like, he's part of a group, but he doesn't seem like he's in the group.
Yeah.
He
that's
learns
true.
to join.
He
the
spends
group.
half
That's
his
his
time in
arc.
solitary anyways. So.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that actor is Kinsegos is his name.
Ken Sagos, yeah.
I love him.
I do too.
I think that he's such a funny performance.
I don't want to look at your ugly face no
it's
more.
just so good.
It's so good. But yeah, back at the hospital, we see, like Philip is being pretty much strung along like a marionette and forced to walk off the building, and all the rest of the kids actually witness this because they do get to the window in time to see that he's like standing up there. His arms are like pretty much like.
I think the saddest part is that Joey's the one that notices first.
Yeah.
And tries to go get help, but can't say anything, so just
yeah.
knocks the nurse's tray off her table.
Yeah, and he grabs
When he
it and
grabs
he's like
it,
hitting it
running
like
down the
against
hallway
the
and
doors.
hitting every door, and everyone's opened the door immediately. So they were just standing right
There's a
there.
bunch of teardrops just started shooting up all over his face.
Yeah. In group therapy, they start to talk about what happened to Philip. Except for Nancy, the two adults think that these kids have hysteria and are being unreasonable.
Yeah, see, this is the point where I want to come back to say Dr. Gordon cares very deeply about the kids. Quote unquote. What Philip did was cowardly. He was weak. He sucks.
He gave up. He's
Exactly,
a piece of
exactly.
shit.
This guy really.
Don't miss him.
Don't miss him. He's
We
a
don't-
loser.
We don't grieve for the weak.
Yeah.
Survival fittest, motherfucker.
Kids
But-
are just like, wow.
Yeah. And then Kincaid freaks out, and Gordon he's like, we should maybe do this. We should maybe prescribe these kids the HYPNOCIL.
Kincaid raises a really good point, because they're ready to write it off as mass hysteria.
Yeah.
And Kincaid's the one that says, we all dreamed of the same guy before we ever met.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are you trying to put logic in this? Stop.
I also like his point. Fuck you. You sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's good.
Hey, I actually, in my next thing in my notes here, I have a question for Elle.
Yeah.
So, that greasy guy that's talking to Taryn.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh,
he-
yeah, we didn't get there yet.
Is
Yeah.
he? Oh, we didn't. Well, we're getting there.
Okay, all
We're
right.
getting there
So-
now.
So, is that like a dreamboat? That guy?
I honestly thought they were setting him up to be murder fodder. I'm like, oh, we're going to be so happy
guy
when he
in the
dies.
movie doesn't get it. I never thought about that.
Yeah. He's like the worst in this movie.
Yeah, he's like a genuine scumbag. Like,
Yeah.
brilliant
He's
casting,
only
by
in
the
two
way.
scenes, but
Yeah.
he leaves an impression.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
as far as like the casting in this movie goes, he was the best. Because you look at him and you're like, ooh, that's a scumbag.
That's a punchable face.
He's got a great punchable face. That's what I was wondering. I'm like, is that like...
Maybe like the theory is maybe he had vacation time, and so he only got to work those 2 days, and that's why we don't see him for the rest of the movie.
Well, I mean, he did raid the drug closet, so he probably took a long weekend.
Oh yeah, true, true.
You
but yeah.
you have him as scheduled days off.
Scheduled
Okay,
days
scheduled
off.
days.
Yeah. So Kincaid is in isolation, trying to fight like stay awake. And Jennifer is in the rec hall watching TV, and Max is like, "Hey, it's time for bed," but she's like, "Come on, please."
Larry.
Larry, yeah, sorry, Larry.
Thank you, John.
No problem. That's why I'm here.
Just wants to make sure, she's like, "I'm still grieving over Philip. Can I just stay here and watch a little bit more TV?"
Can I just smoke my cigarettes in a hospital, please?
Yeah. He's like, "Okay, make sure no one sees you." So then, meanwhile, Taryn comes across the orderly of the year, trying to
Who's
make...
also smoking a cigarette in a hospital.
Right.
I don't know why in my
Who's
notes I
Ace?
put that guy's name is Greasy Mason.
Yeah. I like
What
it.
is that?
Greasy Mason.
I was real tired when I was doing this, so these notes are wonky. I'm so excited to read them.
Were you
Yeah.
trying to stay awake while you were watching the movie because you were afraid?
I was afraid
Stick
Freddy
it
was
in
gonna
myself.
come and make me watch Dial of Destiny.
Oh.
I'm
What
just
a nightmare.
kidding. Why am I picking on Disney today?
But no, that movie is a nightmare. So this guy hits on Tara and he's like, "Hey, why don't you come with me? I got everything you need. A little bit of meth." And she's like, "No, seriously, I'm okay. Could you please go away?" And so she rejects the offer.
So you want booze then?
Yeah, so
No, I don't want anything.
she's like, "What do you want?"
Uppers,
man?"
downers?
I got him. He just
Yeah.
has a trench coat
Yeah.
lined with
Yeah. He just lifts his arm and it's like a bat wing of drugs.
Is that like a unit of measurement? A
bat
bat
wing
wing
of-
of drugs?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Police
is.
confiscated 4.5 bat wings of drugs.
Oh my stars!
Oh my stars.
Holy uppers and downers, Batman.
Meanwhile, Jennifer is watching TV and she starts to have a nightmare, and in this nightmare she sees Freddy on the TV. Eventually, she's getting drawn to the TV, and he pops out of the TV, grabs her, and probably says one of the most iconic lines.
Just jump over Zsa Zsa Gabor?
Oh, I mean, yeah, he's,
And the classic line, "Who gives a fuck what you think?"
gives
so
a
good.
fuck what you
Who gives a
think?
fuck what you think? It's so good.
But the best line, obviously, is
Prime
welcome to prime time, bitch. And
It's just
puts her
like
head through the
a
TV.
movie moment right there.
Yeah.
Like Philip may have had the best death, but that's the best line in the movie.
Yeah.
That line is actually, how every the early Nightmare films, they start with a quote?
Yeah.
I believe it was Nightmare 6 that had the quote, "Welcome to prime time, bitch, Freddy Krueger."
Yes. I love it.
Quoting him.
It is. Yeah.
This
That's
movie
right.
started with an Edgar Allan Poe quote about hating
Yeah.
in dreams, or how I loathe them, or something like that.
Yeah.
They decided to go much more highbrow for part 6.
Yeah. They're like, let's just quote Freddy Krueger. Okay.
No
yeah, that
other
works.
people will agree to be quoted in this movie.
Yeah.
Just do Freddy Krueger.
So, Dr.
I tried
Gordon.
to quote Joey, but it just said ...
and a teardrop. So,
He's doing his
Dr.
own emojis.
He has his own emojis. So Dr. Gordon is grieving in the cemetery over the loss of Jennifer, and comes across the nun, not Valak, who is very cryptic. And when Nancy arrives, Dr. Gordon looks back, and the nun vanished. Father, son, holy shit, she's gone.
Did you find it weird that they were labeling Jennifer's death as a suicide? Like, how does that work as a suicide?
just
She's
like-
literally smashed into a
clearly needed
television
help.
that's 12 feet up.
I know.
it's
She
off
got
the
a
ground.
running start.
I was gonna say, like,
Yeah,
she's just she's a hell of a jumper. She's got like Mario Brothers level jumping.
Well,
right
because
there.
they do say earlier in the film when we first meet the kids that there was a suicide a week or two ago as well. So basically, if you take what happened with Kristen in her home, that's Freddy's MO for this movie up until this point, where trying to make everything look like a suicide.
But that's a
Yeah.
very, very questionable suicide.
Yeah, this is where it kind of jumps the shark a bit. Like she had to get like across the room, probably move the couch, running start, jump up, and smash her head with the TV.
I
Or
agree.
she
It
was-
seems like a lot of effort
Yeah, I mean,
was
yeah.
put into her own suicide.
Or do you
yeah.
think there? She's like, yo, you think Philip's a jumper?
Oh, she's trying to outjump the jumper.
I got it. I like
Damn.
it.
Do you think Stu's finale in Scream is an homage to that scene.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Like, Wes Craven's like, you know what? I really appreciated that death in Nightmare 3.
Let's do
Let's
it
do that to Stu.
physically, like in a way that's physically possible.
Right.
We'll bring the TV to him.
You know what? I'm going to fix that. Yeah. But yeah, Dr. Gordon, he actually gets another dinner with Nancy at her place, and they discuss the situation with the kids, and Nancy decides to spill the honest truth. She's like, okay, here it is. But it actually cuts back to the group therapy session, where Nancy is telling the group she knows who is haunting their dreams, and his name is Freddy Krueger. So Nancy tells the kids they each have a gift when they dream, and Dr. Gordon begins a hypnosis experiment, and they all actually fall asleep. And when they wake up, they actually think that it didn't work. So they're like, "Oh, it didn't work. Oh well, let's give it 5 minutes and just walk around the room, right?" So then Joey leaves, and
He sees his favorite nurse.
yeah, he follows the "hello nurse" to a room back in the group.
Back in the day, there was this show called Animaniacs for all you kids.
For all you kids. Hello, nurse. But back in group, they all discovered that they are actually asleep. And one by one, the kids discover they can do something special. Kincaid has super strength.
Cool.
Will is magic.
Awesome.
Pretty awesome, yeah.
Kristen can also do flips and acrobats on top of the power she already has of pulling people in her dreams.
Yeah, it's
Did you find it weird though when she pulled Simone Biles into her dream? She's like, "Hold my beer."
Hold my beer. Yeah. And then we have Taryn, who is like the Meg Griffin of the group.
What?
Shut up, Meg.
Shut up, Meg. She's like, I'm bold and I'm beautiful.
No, I'm
I'm
beautiful and bad.
Oh, bad. Yeah, that's it. And then she just has 2 switchblades. And it's like,
And a mohawk.
and a mohawk. Yeah.
Dream bigger.
Yeah, she. And this is why you
Taryn.
shouldn't do drugs, guys.
Your dreams are very.
I mean, can we get back to Kristen though? It's like, look what I can do. A front handspring.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, people that
And
are
everyone
awake can do
applauds.
that.
They applaud. They're like, yes, yes.
Yes. And then it's like,
I
Taryn,
know it's
check
therapy.
this
It's supposed
out.
to make validate everyone, but
Little lame.
It's like, okay, we thought the pulling people in the dreams thing was kind of remarkable, but yeah, do a handstand and a backflip and a.
She's like, I'm an overachiever. Like doing flips.
It'd be cool if they think the next shot she was just like pushing a trampoline into the shot. She's like, now check this out.
Check this out. She just keeps going.
They're all like looking at their watch, like,
Like,
okay.
come on, man.
Oh, I got a new dream.
Balance
Yeah,
beam
you're a
time.
gymnast. That's
But-
neat.
So we get where Joey is in.
what's Dr. Gordon's dream power?
I don't know.
Nancy's a little closer to him.
Yeah. Yes.
He's
Yes.
slightly more appealing to women.
She's like,
Yeah.
wow, you're not as unsightly.
That's right. Yeah.
He's like, and Dr. Gordon's just like, in my dreams, I have a talk show, and it's called Real Time with. No, I'm not gonna finish that. I'm not gonna finish that thought.
But Joey
Bum, 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 bum.
is in the room, and he's kind of being seduced by the nurse, which of course
Wait,
is
kind of being seduced by the
100%.
nurse?
I mean, 100%.
He's just not good with signals.
Yeah. I'm not good with signals, guys. All right.
Well, he has the same superpower as that one girl. He's beautiful.
I
Look at
have,
him.
I have a request.
Amble.
I want you, Miss Elle, to elaborate on the scene because you said
Yes.
some stuff to me.
Yes.
the other
And
day.
I said,
Hey, Mike,
right in my notes, I'm going to go to Elle on this.
Can I see that for a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
These
so,
are my notes. I'm gonna go to Elle on this scene.
Oh, thank you so much. No, with this scene, they've always kind of hinted that Freddy was like a pedo, and this is the
Definitive.
it's so overt in this scene because the nurse walking into that room, my first thought is that's definitely Freddy. That has to be Freddy, especially since they revealed everybody else is dreaming. So we have the nurse luring a child into a secluded room and then kisses him and gets on top of him on the bed, and so it's very overt. And this is
No
where
shirt on.
this is where my theory
Boobs.
about Joey comes in, because I said that all the kids seem to have some issues, and it's my personal theory that Joey's was some kind of sexual assault, that he's a minor who has been a victim of abuse, and this is Freddy playing out that worst thing. And if that's what took his voice, like, that's I could understand that. It happens to a lot of people. It's really sad and tragic. But here's Freddy taking advantage of that and, you know, overtly on top of this guy on a bed, and it's really tragic and sad.
Yeah. I remember when we were discussing this and you brought that up, and I was like, man, like, it's so true. Like, he definitely seems like a victim of sexual abuse, and Freddy doing this, you know, and him not having the voice, you know what I mean?
That's the sad part. Like, when Freddy reveals himself and ties him to the bed, his mouth is open like he's screaming, but there's no sound. And that's, like, representative, I feel, of what abuse victims go through. You have, like, all of this pain and emotion, but an inability to express it to anyone.
Yeah. And I definitely couldn't have said it better than that.
Yeah, that's why I was like, hell, take it away.
Take it away.
This is a really pivotal scene in the movie, and there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. Like, even from, like, I guess from a casting perspective, the actual actress that played the nurse, she was like one of the last people cast in the movie, obviously for physical reasons, but also they had like almost like a upper body mold for her to basically become Freddy. I guess they didn't use it because they didn't think that she could pull off the performance that they wanted her to. That's why she basically just jump cuts into being Freddy. But I guess they had like a full prosthetics rig.
Did you ever see the picture?
I believe I have, actually.
Yeah, the picture, it's very bizarre.
Yeah.
It's like her body, and then the top, it's like Freddy's head, and I'm like, smart choice not to use that. It is silly.
I've never seen it. I'll have to look it up. I've never seen it.
Does Freddy have a nice rack?
Oh, it looks great. No, I don't.
Looks good. But back at the group, they actually get trapped they're in the dream world, and they get trapped in this room, which actually transforms into like this, the inside of a boiler kind of situation. But luckily, Sims walks into the room where they all are and wakes them up just in time before they're about to get crushed.
It turned into the trash compactor from the Death Star.
Yeah, basically. And however, Joey is actually in a coma, and this results in Gordon and Nancy getting relieved from their jobs. Like, they basically get canned. So
you can kind of understand where Dr. Sims is coming from.
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like, this was like, no one was notified about this whole session. And then you guys do this session, and as one of our patients goes into a coma.
Well, not only that, but this is, since Nancy showed up, this is the third death we've had of one of our patients who's been around her.
Can I read a line from it?
Yeah.
It says, the guy, when he fires Nancy, says, in the last few days, we've had 2 suicides, and now that young man is in a coma. I think it's safe to say your approach has failed entirely. These were the exact words also spoken from the shareholders of Star Wars.
Oh, no.
Long way to get to that joke, but I got there.
Oh,
good.
Well, this is also past the point where Dr. Gordon changed his mind and said, listen, I want to put these kids on this experimental drug.
Yeah.
And the female doctor, she was against it. So now, not only has Nancy come in and all these people are dying, even though they admitted they had someone die like a week earlier.
Right.
But it's escalated, and now they're doing weird experimental treatments. So you can see the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
We just wanted to give them experimental drugs. What's the big deal?
My parents did it all the time.
Yeah, recreationally. Sometimes.
It's medicinal now.
Yeah.
Gordon leaves work with his box in his hands, and then spots the nun, not Valak, in the tower. And she lets Gordon know her fate, like the bastard son of 1,000 maniacs story.
100 maniacs.
Oh, 100 maniacs, sorry. and to bury. I can't even read today. And to bury Freddy's remains on holy ground. She's like, the only way you could get rid of him is to bury him in like a grave, but on holy grounds.
So back to the bones, right?
Yeah.
We all know this all started because like the Elm Street kids' parents torched Freddy alive, right?
Yeah.
Now they did it in his boiler room, or if you're going by part 6, the shack outside the boiler room, which makes a little bit more sense because it could burn.
Yeah, the boiler room's a little harder to torch.
Yeah, but if you're burning someone alive, right, and like it's a fire that killed them, why get rid of the bones? Doesn't that make more suspicion?
You stumped them.
Yeah.
They're thinking.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just backtracking through all my murders, and I'm trying to remember if I took the bones. Yeah, I took all the bones.
That's
I guess it's just like a thing you do on the spot, you know?
Yeah.
And you put them in a Cadillac?
That's, yeah.
Okay.
Where would you put them?
I mean, I'd leave them there that way, you know.
What do you want them in a Pinto?
Yeah, come on, man.
We're not gonna put bones
That's a
of a
man's-
serial murderer, a child murderer, by the way. He deserves a Cadillac.
Yes. He's lived a life, okay? That's a man's body.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper was his father.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was one of the fathers. So Nancy,
Adopted father. Robert Englund was his own father.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, in like 5, he's just kind of
Yeah.
like in there with all those
It's,
guys.
it's his
Yeah.
his cameo as himself that he does in several of the movies.
yes, yeah.
That's confusing. So wait, Alice Cooper was his stepdad?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right, because we
And
don't know who
Freddy's
the
dad.
100 dads could be.
Yeah.
It was Freddy.
Yeah.
Freddy is his own father. Oh my god, it's like a paradox.
I know.
It's like
your
that
father's
song, I Am My Own Grandpa,
Yeah.
by Ray Stevens.
It's so good. So Nancy gets a message from Freddy through like Joey's body, which says, "Come and get him, bitch." Because she's like, "Let him go," and then he's like, and he carves into her
On her tummy.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
Joey's tummy, like, "Come and get him, bitch."
Now, I'm going to admit
Later,
that
they were sued by the Exorcist estate.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to admit that I heard this on another internet show.
No. Steal it.
Just
Take it as your own.
questioning.
Don't give credit where it's due.
Okay.
No. We don't do that.
Not on Freakquels.
Okay. Did that stay there? Like, he's in the next movie. Does he have scars?
No.
Say, "Come and get him, bitch"?
No, well, you're not visible, like, super
They disappear like his tears.
visible. Yeah. Yeah.
This is so against Freddy's MO. Every time he has somebody in dreams, he just murders them. But this
Yeah.
time he's like, I'm
personal.
gonna take them.
It's personal because I think he's antagonizing Nancy. Like, he
Yeah.
wants.
But he
He's just
could have
bait.
done that on any of the other dead bodies. He could have written on them.
Yeah, but he really wanted to kill Nancy, so he's using this guy
I'm
as
thinking,
bait.
this is going back to my little story about Joey, that
Oh.
he's the reason he takes him is because he's got now a victim he can play with who's been pre-groomed to accept abuse. So he, because when they find him, he's in the boiler room.
Oh.
I love
That's
that she's
crazy.
just blowing, like,
She's
time after
blowing
time,
up,
she's
right?
blowing your
She's
minds.
blowing it up. I love it.
Actually, going back to that scene where Joey's first captured, we're both watching it, and I couldn't remember what the line was. Like I think it's that how about being that's called being tongue tied. The entire time she's like, what's his line gonna be like? Cat got your tongue or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like you knew it was a tongue pun. You couldn't figure out which one it was.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we get where Dr. Gordon actually tells Nancy, he's like, all right, listen, I saw this nun and she said if we find his bones and we bury them on holy ground, we might be able to stop Freddy. And she's like, I think I know the person. I know a guy for that.
I got a guy.
I got a guy for that. Yeah. But
John Saxon.
yeah, John's.
Whenever you have a
Sexual
problem,
Saxon.
bring in John Saxon.
Hell yeah, man.
John Saxon.
He's so good.
He's an awesome actor.
Boy, this country's gone downhill since he died.
It has.
Yeah.
It has. It took a noticeable dip in quality.
Yeah.
Enter the Dragon. Anyone?
I love it. I'm a huge.
Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Me too, man.
I love it.
We should start practicing our Bruce Lee moves together.
Yes. Tomorrow or today?
Yeah,
Tonight.
right now.
Okay.
On Freakquels. Let our audience hear.
We're going to
free.
take a quick
This is
10.
an
so
audio
Rory and
medium.
DJ
Yeah.
All they hear is us just like hitting each other.
Yeah, we're like,
Ow!
You have
I
to
don't wanna
call
do
your
this
spots
anymore.
like back fist, hammer fist.
So back at the hospital, Kristen freaks out over the loss of Nancy. She's like, "Where's Nancy? Nancy!" But over at the bar called Little Nemo's, Nancy tracks down her father. I know that feeling. And they hash out their history.
No, back up.
But
Let's
Nancy,
unpack some of that.
but
You need
Nancy
to talk, bro?
can't get the help she needs to find Krueger's bones. So then, meanwhile, Taryn calls, Paige's Dr. Gordon, who calls her, and he's
With that
informed with that pager. Yeah,
Which he calls back from a cell phone. I mean, from a payphone.
yeah.
What's
yeah.
a payphone?
So he calls back.
Superman's old dressing room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Colin Farrell did a movie with one of them, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
It was like
and
his
Kiefer
co-star.
Sutherland.
Aged beautifully.
Yes. What a great movie.
Yeah.
So Taryn calls and informs him that Kristen had this shit attack, as she said, and they sedated her. So Gordon stays back to convince her father by respectfully knocking over all his shit. But it works. And he's like, "Why don't you help?" And then he just knocks over the table, and the dad's like, "Okay, let's go." And then so they set
Al,
up.
here's a question, right?
Yeah.
If you're a woman, right, and a guy really wants to get with you, is roughing up your dad a good way to get into your good graces?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's right.
Yeah.
That's how you guys met, right?
That's how we met. Yeah.
No, I actually only met her father one time,
Oh,
and we did not have fisticuffs.
that's fine.
Yeah. But
Wait, I want to go back to confirm for him. You are a woman, right?
Yes.
Okay.
so they
God,
stop.
I hope so.
So they stop at a church to get some holy water and a crucifix, and the priest is like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I just
Take my license.
yeah, here's my license." Cool.
I'd rather my
forever.
property back.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with this?
You know that crucifix was blessed by the Pope.
This license is
Remember
expired.
how he also gets the holy water by filling like a fifth of vodka?
In a Jack Daniels bottle, or
Yeah.
like a rum bottle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he like pours it out outside the church and then fills it with holy water.
He's like,
Yeah.
like noticeably jacking that church.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's
Yeah, I
just
mean,
like,
he's like, he looks so guilty when he's doing it. He's just like filling it up.
it's not even like he's like looking around to take the crucifix. He's like wrestling
He's
it
like
off
sealing
the
crosses.
Yeah.
Wait, where's the collection plate?
It was. You got any candles around here?
Yeah.
So we
So
just walked out with the baptismal font.
yeah.
He's
just like-
he has a bat wing's worth of religious artifacts in his coat.
Religious artifacts.
Got the Shroud of Christ right here.
Whatever you need. So Nancy arrives at the hospital, but Max won't let her near Kristen. He's
Max,
like,
as-
Understandably.
Max, as portrayed by Larry
Larry.
Fishburne.
Yes.
Cowboy
He's like-
Curtis?
Yes.
Cowboy Curtis,
Okay.
yes. He's like, "No way can you go near Kristen."
The other kids, yeah.
the other kids?
Why not?
Kristen,
All right.
no. The other
Yeah.
kids, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the deal with that? Like, Kristen, off limits. That's VIP.
Yeah. No way. What about the other kids? Can I at least say bye to them? Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Go. They're actually in the rec room.
Could you maybe
right
give
now.
Taryn some heroin while you're in there?
Yes. So, she goes in, and over with the two gentlemen, Nancy's dad and Dr. Gordon, they arrive at the junkyard where Freddy's remains are located. So then Nancy convinces Kincaid, Taryn, and Will to enter the dream world so that way they could save Joey and Kristen. So they find Kristen, but they get split up, and Kristen is back in her room, and it kind of relives the moment from earlier in the film. It kind of mirrors that scene where her mom comes in and interrupts her like building the house. And then this is actually one of my earliest memories as a kid. My dad took me to see another movie, and my other siblings were in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and he took me in for a scene, like for a second
To check in.
like how long the movie was or whatever. And I just remember it was Freddy holding the mother's head and like, like saying the line and
Where's the fucking bourbon?
Yeah, where's the fucking bourbon? That's my first memory of like a big screen thing.
So when
I don't even remember the movie I saw. I just remember that.
So when you saw that scene, did your pupils blow out like in Requiem for a Dream?
Yeah, I was just like, ooh, that's what I want in life.
This is gonna lead to a lot of money at conventions.
I'm pretty sure the first movie I saw in theaters was Aristocats, and it's weird. It had that same scene.
Oh, maybe that's what I saw. No, but so we see this, and this time, Freddy is like chasing her, but luckily Kristen jumps through her window due to her acrobatic skills that she acquired, and she's able to escape. We then cut over to Taryn, who dreams of like a seedy alleyway, and she ends up getting killed by Freddy. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got the right stuff."
What a rush.
Yeah. Let's go.
He has a fistful of syringes, which is fantastic. I love that.
And she has an arm full of solutions. And
Yeesh.
Tell me you wrote that down. Like, that wasn't off the cuff, was it?
That was off the cuff.
Oh my god.
That's when you're in the presence of a comedic genius.
Oh,
You can just
stop.
rattle those things off.
You bastards. But we see she gets killed by Freddy. Over to Will. So this next scene we see Will, and he's in this long underground hallway, and he's actually facing
We
his
never did
fears.
bring up the fact that another part of his dream power is he can walk.
Yes, yeah. So in his dreams, he can walk, and he faces his fear. It's like this big, giant wheelchair that has all these like blades and stuff attached to it. So
Pretty badass wheelchair, if you ask me.
yeah, and so it rushes towards him
Better than
and
Brand's
cuts his
wheelchair in Game
leg.
of Thrones.
Yeah. And he actually summons his wizard powers, but unfortunately, he stands his ground for a little bit against the chair at least, and then when he's trying to shoot Freddy, it actually leads to his death. Which he's like,
Freddy don't believe in fairy tales.
I think that is a really funny but cruel line.
yeah, he's like, I don't believe in fairy tales. Yeah, it's
Does
so
he say
good.
bitch? I don't think he says bitch for that one, does he?
No.
No.
It's a little
It's not until part 4
It's a
he
little
says bitch
colder.
all the time.
Do you notice that Freddy's voice sounds real weird in that scene?
Well, even in the alleyway, it's really cool because it does the warped thing where it's like, let's get high,
Yeah.
right? But then at one point he's like, come on, Taryn. It's like the Robert Englund voice. It's like, hey, come on, let's have some fun.
See, this
You know?
one, it's more of like a, oh, Will, you look tired. Like, it's real bizarre.
It's warped.
Modulated.
Yeah.
His
Go play
voice
that back, by
sounds
the way.
very
That's a
different
really
throughout
good
this
impression of that moment, okay, guys?
That was good.
Thank
yeah.
you.
5 stars, no notes.
So
Yeah.
do we think that Will Byers from Stranger Things was inspired by this Will?
I
Is it
think that
just two
Harry
kids
Potter was
who-
inspired by that Will.
Two kids who just won't play D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went into something like the Upside Down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
I'm going to sue Stranger Things for someone.
it's
That's not how that
interesting-
works.
I'm going to do it. In my dreams, I can sue people.
Whoever he wants.
In my
It's
dreams, I
interesting that in that time period, they rather than the classic idea of a wizard wearing a robe and a hat, you're just a bad vampire cosplay.
yeah.
That's what he was going for. I don't
It's
know.
a
I'm
high
Count
collar.
Chocula.
Yeah. It's definitely like a high collar, that like wizard cape. That
Doctor
he had.
Strange-ish.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
maybe that's what they're aiming for.
Yeah.
Strange would have been around then. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. So
I like to think he was just a Dracula.
yeah, he was just like, I don't know what wizards really are. This is close, right? So
we only have the core book. We didn't get the expansions.
In my dream, I have the expansions.
Oh, this is working out great.
Dream power is kind of lame, but convenient.
So Kristen finds Nancy and Kincaid, who come across a door that actually leads them down this circle of stairs.
Awesome set design.
Oh, it's
That was
awesome.
really cool. I love
so
the
cool.
I love the door. I love you could see around the door. That was pretty
Yeah.
good CG for that time period. 88, 87, 88?
87?
That's-
I think it was 87.
It was,
Yeah.
I thought it was good CG for that time.
And
period.
even like the stairwell, like the middle,
Yeah.
and how it's all foggy and
Yeah.
red, like all the lighting.
Beautiful.
Oh, so
I
good.
think, once again, hot take, I think 3 has the best boiler room set.
Yeah, absolutely. Even when Joey's like over the bed, in the nurse's room or whatever, that looks incredible too.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool. I mean, like the effects kind of, you can see some don't really hold up or whatever,
But they kind of do. Like,
But
they
they
give
kinda
it a
do, yeah.
charm, you know what I mean?
yeah,
The only bad effect hasn't happened yet.
yeah.
When we say bad, we're going to debate. I know what you're talking about.
Jason and the Argonauts?
Yes. Dr. Gordon and Mr. Thompson actually find Freddy's bones, and they begin to dig a grave for those bones. And in Dreamland, back there, they reach the bottom and they find Joey, and he's all strapped up, and they have this big fight with Freddy, but Freddy gets a little distracted by what's actually happening in reality, where Dr. Gordon and Mr. Thompson are trying to bury the bones. So he ends up going to that world in his bone form, the Jason and the Argonaut fight. And he actually kills Mr. Thompson and knocks out Dr. Gordon.
But the Harryhausen estate was not pleased.
And they were
But
not
right before
pumped.
that, where the cars are shaking and it kind of
Yeah.
traps them in,
In the
it
junkyard,
really
yeah.
reminded me of the opening scene of 13 Ghosts in the junkyard.
Yeah, absolutely. In Dreamland, Freddy seems to have the upper glove, and when Joey has enough, he actually lets out.
Whoa,
this,
wait. Did you just say the upper glove?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome. Yeah, you get it. You
This,
know,
that,
it's
that was actually a really interesting set piece too. They're in the
Yeah.
hallway with all the mirrors.
Yeah,
and he's
and
coming out of
Freddy's
like
grabbing
5 or
each
6
of
of the
them.
mirrors all at once.
Yeah, and he's grabbing each one of them, and it looks like all hope is lost, and that's when let's go to Elle.
Yeah. This is the moment where I'm like, I actually had like a lot of emotions about, because Freddy is pulling them into the mirrors and Joey is crouched in the corner hiding. And it's at this point that he sees everybody in danger and he stands up and yells no. So this abuse victim, who only when he sees his abuser attacking people he cares about, other vulnerable people, is able to find his voice and speak out against it. I'm like, that is such a powerful message for survivors of abuse. Like, you can find your voice, you can say no, and you can make a difference to help other people who to prevent people from going through what you went through.
Yeah.
They say that I've seen this in like documentaries and stuff like that. That people that are abused usually don't want to confess or like put the blame on their abuser at any point in time until someone says, if you don't stop this now, they're going to hurt somebody else. And for most people, it takes that for it to click in their head to say, no, I have to stop this now
Yeah.
before they go on and hurt
So
somebody else.
I like was starting to tear up during that scene, because it's such a powerful moment for that character, and like it seems like his character more than any of the others has a full and complete arc.
Yeah,
I like
no,
it.
I totally agree. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And
Can we
so
bring up the fact real quick that from this point in the movie on, no one brings up Tyrion or Will at all.
yeah, they're not like, hey, did you guys see Darren or Will?
In their dreams, they're important.
Aww.
Oh no. But as they celebrate, Joey smashing all the mirrors and stuff, Mr. Thompson arrives in like a ghost form, and
Ghost Dad.
It's Ghost Dad, and he's like, Nancy, I'm here, and she's like, Dad, and she runs over and she
Pass
hugs
it
him,
on.
and then he's like, I'm passing
Passed
on now.
over.
Yeah, he's like, pass over, and then
Ghost Dad.
and then it turns out it's actually Freddy, and he stabs her right in the
You should have
stomach.
been like, you should have known better, bitch.
I know, right? But so we see where Nancy gets stabbed, and then he's about to attack Kristen, and Nancy grabs Freddy, and they're actually struggling back and forth. Meanwhile, back in reality, we see that son of a bitch Gordon pulls it off, and he gives that proper burial to Freddy, but
Was it proper? I mean,
proper enough, right? But he starts, throwing some holy water on it, and I
blesses
do
himself.
love like the effect in the dream world
As
where
it
Freddy's,
splashes
like,
across.
Yeah.
And
So
Yeah.
awesome.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
I like that. Even like when he throws the cross down, it's on his head.
Yeah, he's like, and so all of that, it looks so awesome in the dream world. I mean, even like him doing it in the junkyard is pretty.
I didn't
neat.
know I was a vampire, bitch.
Yeah. So, Freddy, pretty much blows up, but we see where Nancy is actually dead. Like she did die in the dream world. And then the final scene at the funeral, Dr. Gordon sees the nun, not phallic, and then sees that it was her grave that she was walking by, and it was actually Amanda Krueger was the nun the whole time. The end.
Which was a surprise to no one.
I lie awake and dread the lonely nights.
Now we're getting sued.
So here's another thing. Neil is a psychologist, and he wears those terrible sweaters. And there is a character in the Santa Claus. He's the stepdad, whose name is Neil, who is a psychiatrist. So I'm wondering if this is just two arcs of the same character.
The answer is yes.
Oh. How funny would that be?
I would hope
if
for
it was
that.
like, yeah. What if the writer of the Santa Claus actually did write Dream Warriors, and he was like, I'm going to sneak this little reference in.
I'm going to give Santa Claus some HYPNOCIL.
Yeah.
What do you think Santa's superpower is in his dreams?
I don't have diabetes.
One thing I found interesting about the end.
Hard at it.
Hard at it.
I didn't notice this until I rewatched it the other night. They basically give Nancy the bad guy surprise "I'm not dead yet" moment.
Yeah.
Because like Freddy stabs her and she falls down and think, oh, she's gone.
Yeah.
And then it isn't until he goes after Kristen that she gets the "I'm not dead, bitch" moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she dies and
then
everyone's sad. And she gets a funeral.
Yeah.
Will doesn't get a funeral.
No. Will.
I thought it was a
nor
double
Taryn.
funeral. Didn't
No,
they have
they specifically say Nancy's name in that scene.
In my dreams, I get a proper burial.
In my dreams, I get a proper burial.
Actually, in part 4, you do get to see that Nancy, Kristen, Kincaid, and Will are all buried like next to each other,
Oh, yeah.
which isn't how anything works. But
Yeah.
I know you get to be like buried next to your high school friends and not your families.
Wasn't that
Yeah.
graveyard right by the hospital where
It was
staying?
it was in like the yard of the hospital. Yes.
Yeah,
I know.
so they're
And
not
that-
even paying funeral directors. They're just
Not to mention that was
open
a
another hole in the yard.
Yeah.
Oh, we had to cut that from the budget.
that was a quick turnaround for a funeral because that person died and then the next day they were going in the ground. So
Yeah.
that's really a trope in all the Elm Street movies.
they die and instantly have.
There's always funerals.
There's almost always a funeral scene.
You know what? I think it's like the only horror series that actually has funerals though.
Yeah.
It's weird.
But
Yeah, I can't even think of another
But they
one.
are
Yeah.
too quick.
right. It's like Scream. Like people are dying left and right, and it's like, yeah.
I love the first
No time
movie
for a funeral.
during Rod's. The priest is like, those who live by the sword die by the sword. And I'm like, whoa, inappropriate, sir.
Yeah.
The guy was just convicted of murder.
But
Yeah.
if you think about it, though, I mean, the entire movie, Nightmare on Elm Street, probably takes place over 3-4 nights.
Yeah.
Which is
So-
a lot of death in 3 or 4 nights.
Yeah, but they all immediately love Nancy, and they can't live without her.
Right.
And then they don't, and then neither does she. But
Yeah.
another thing that's creepy about the end of the movie, we didn't bring it up
Oh, yeah.
about when they had dinner at Nancy's place. They show like the Asian dream doll
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And then at the end of the movie, it cuts to the doctor's house, and he has that Asian dream doll and the Freddy Krueger house, which Nancy took from Kristen's room to her place.
Yeah.
Did he rob her place after she died?
Yeah. She had keys, man.
I think he's just staying there. He's squatting. Her place.
Just for a
Be
couple.
like, oh, she still has 3 months left on the lease.
Oh, man. I just
for a
got
couple
fired.
Till he can get back up on his
Got nowhere
feet.
to go.
Maybe that priest turned him in and he lost everything. He's like,
Yeah.
he came in here, stole all of our stuff.
He gave me his ID.
What was I gonna do
It
with
wasn't
this?
hard to find. No, he couldn't go back to his own house because the priest has his address.
Yes. He's squatting
Because he lost all the stuff in the battle. He's like, I can't face him.
I can't do this.
I can't get my license
I
back.
buried that. I buried that guy with the crucifix. I can't give it back to him.
That'd be.
It's just. But
That'd be funny if they did have one shot of the priest just still waiting.
Yeah,
He's just like on the steps, like okay.
Looking at his watch every
Yeah, it's like-
Yeah,
periodically.
if this was made today, there'd be like a post-credit scene a la Marvel.
Yeah.
And it would
Yeah.
just be like, the priest standing there
with like
with,
the ID.
with the ID.
He's like, maybe I can just go in there and buy some beer with that. But I mean, I'm old enough to do it myself.
So it does say doctor. But
The
I
Dr.
like that the
Gordon's
key
just like-
is holding it in the light to see if it has like a little hologram or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just like this. He's a doctor, but doesn't seem to be very intelligent in the way currency works.
Yeah.
He's like, what am I gonna do with this?
Dumbass,
I
yeah.
want to pay for this holy water and this cross, this golden priceless cross, with my ID. The priest is like, okay.
All right.
My
He
question is,
just
did
calls the
did
cops.
he not have any money?
What if they kicked him out of the?
I mean, it was the
fatherhood for
80s.
that?
People carried money
They
then.
kicked him out of the
It was
church.
cash.
Like,
Everybody had
wait a minute,
cash.
wait a minute. Some strange man came in and you let him steal things out of the church because he gave you his license? You are excommunicated.
Forgiveness is kind of their thing, though.
Excommunicado.
Not in that church. That's an
Yeah.
Elm Street
That's
church.
an Elm Street church.
I just like to think that
Springwood.
priest is like calling the cops, and they're just waiting for Nancy's dad.
No,
Yeah.
Nancy's dad isn't a cop anymore. If
Okay.
you notice during the bar
Oh yeah,
scene-
he's got a thing
In
for
his
security.
casket, the phone's ringing.
No, during the bar scene, he's actually wearing a jacket that says security, which obviously leads you to believe that he lost his job as a police officer.
Oh,
Poor guy.
Because he's a sad drunk now because his wife died.
What is this, a Disney Legacy sequel? Dun-dun-dun.
Dun-dun.
Because they're all like that.
But overall, I love this movie. It's like I said in the very beginning, it's definitely my favorite sequel of the whole Nightmare series.
One of my favorite horror films, for sure.
for sure.
Topsies.
Yeah, and Vince, and this was your first time watching it ever.
This was my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie I've ever seen.
You've seen one of them.
That's why it's my favorite.
What was the other
Wow.
one you've seen?
No, this is it. This is the only one I've seen.
Oh, okay.
I enjoyed it. I thought. How? I don't
How?
like. I don't like scary movies.
Oh, okay.
It
Doesn't
ain't
watch
my
them.
bag. Yeah, they dragged me
Did
into
you
this.
live on Elm Street as a child?
I lived next to an Elm Street as a child.
Okay, so
I also remember being at a neighbor's house, and I think they were big into horror movies, and I think they were watching one of the Nightmare on Elm Streets where there's a waterbed. Is there a waterbed
4?
scene?
Yeah,
that's in
that's part
4.
that's how
Okay.
Joey dies in part 4.
So Uncle
Yeah.
Sal had a waterbed, and I saw that scene at a friend's house, and I would never go into Uncle Sal's room because he had a waterbed.
Wait, was it a waterbed, or did he just have too many tears all at once?
Oh.
Actually, no. We're going to back in the backstory too. One scene I did see from Nightmare when I was a kid was the Johnny Depp scene,
Oh, okay, yeah.
One of the best.
and that to this
Yeah.
day is why for years and years and years is why I wouldn't sleep on my back.
Really?
I figured if I slept on my back, I just
Yeah.
pulled me through
It's
the bed.
also why you hate half shirts, like the crop tops.
Oh, I love me a crop
So you
top.
must hate being here right now. We're all wearing half.
We're all
Into pantless and crop tops.
tin crop tops. I love it. No pants, crop tops.
Yeah, that's our new thing.
That's our, that's
As far as the movies that we've done so far, the writing in this was great. The practical effects were probably hands down the best of what we've done so far. I love the way that it looked. That pig set, or the dining room table set with the pig, looked phenomenal. That looked believable and real. I liked it. It was enjoyable. I enjoyed it. I didn't think this was a waste of my time like you guys usually do for me.
So one of your favorite films is The Shawshank Redemption.
Yes,
one
it
of
is.
mine as well.
Oh, me too.
Me too. But written by Frank Darabont.
You were telling me about that, and I think that's why I kind of like the writing on it.
Do you remember when it was like Freddy Dufresne falls through a river of shit? Only to come out clean on the other side.
I remember what he said to me. Vagina boo.
Yeah, get busy
Family Guy
living or
reference.
get by this dime. But yeah. So
How'd you? So Elle, you're big fan of this movie too. Is this your first Nightmare movie?
No.
No, you've seen other ones.
Yeah, I've seen the first two.
The
so
first
this,
two.
I just saw
And the
this.
remake.
And
Two's
the remake.
awesome. I like 2 a lot. We're gonna talk about 2 someday, right?
yeah.
I mean,
Oh.
There's a
Two's
lot of
definitely-
homoerotic subtext that
awesome.
becomes
It's
glorious.
not subtext.
It's-
It's not. It's text.
It's glorious.
What, in Nightmare 2 or in
Yeah,
this
it
podcast?
is like
Nightmare 2
one
is
of
the
the
gay
most
one.
one of the most popular like horror films in the gay community.
Really?
Yeah, and it's awesome. And I love that like it has that reputation.
But of all the ones that I've seen, this one I had the most emotional reaction to. Like, I really identified with the kids. Probably as somebody who has their own mental health struggles, like, I think it's very relatable, that scene where they're in group trying to get Dr. Sims to listen to them.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
so many young people, their mental health issues aren't taken seriously. Or they feel like they're not being heard because they're young.
It's probably better now with that stuff, but
Oh,
like in
yeah.
the 80s,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
they're probably
yeah,
just like,
kinda.
I think like, I want to kill myself. Their dad would just slap them upside the head and like, get back out there, you know, because it wasn't taken seriously. Like it was a
Right.
horrible.
And
thing.
so it's so great to see all these kids get dream powers, so they have these things that can help them, and they're not waiting for somebody else to step in. They're like, how can I help myself?
The whole
And I think that's a great message,
the whole point of therapy is
to give you the tools.
be given the
Yeah.
tools to deal with the anxiety or the stress or whatever it is that you're going through.
Exactly.
And those kids got it without the help of the people, without the help of the therapists.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you have to help yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes
Yeah.
you have to save yourself.
yeah. And like you're saying with back then and how they treated mental health, the majority of people weren't treating mental health. It was just, they're just weird. Johnny's odd.
Do you remember Dr. Gordon? He was a coward.
Yeah.
He was weak. He
Well, I
was
think-
broken.
But
I'm
after
glad
this
he's
movie-
gone.
Anyone else miss him? I don't.
I know he's your friend. Psych, he sucks.
Pick better friends.
At the end of this movie, I was like, wow, that's such a great message for mental health. I'm so glad these kids survived to, like, use these things that they got. And John's like, they all die in the first 20 minutes of the next film.
Yeah.
And they recast Kristen.
And then
Yeah.
Ella developed a little teardrop
And then I had a
tattoo
little
on her
tear.
head.
Yeah.
I mean, I think of all the films, like this one definitely has the strongest cast of kids. They're the most relatable. They work the best together.
Yeah.
The addition of the dream powers is an interesting concept.
Yeah.
It's something they use a little like they use in 4 and 5 as well, but not as effectively. And the rules are kind of all over the place with them in the other movies. And I think also probably the best part about the film is it's like peak middle Freddy, where it's like he's still kind of scary and a little funny. Like he kind of becomes a parody of himself as the movies go on, mainly in 4 and 6, especially in 6.
Yeah.
Screw that movie. But
I like 6.
What's the map? What does the map say?
The map says we're fired. No, you know what's interesting? I noticed this. So Wes Craven, I believe a lot of this story, the idea of the story came from him. Like he didn't write the full out screenplay, but like a lot of the conceptual things, they were his ideas. And I noticed all of my
You mean for part 3?
for part 3. So
Well, I heard the script that he wrote for it involved time travel.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'm gonna call false. But I noticed that whenever his name is attached to one of these movies, like the first one, the third one, and New Nightmare, those are always like my favorite
Yeah.
Nightmare movies. It's just like whenever he's involved, it's because he understands it. He understands how to make these movies work, or like what's kind of special. And when he's involved, they're just better, you know. And then they get all these other people involved, and it's like they don't quite get the mythology or something. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but it all turns into schlock.
Imagine if there was time travel. Ah, God, Doc. I don't want that HYPNOCIL. Marty, you better fucking take it.
Take the HYPNOCIL, bitch.
But yeah, no, I totally.
That's the power of glove.
That's yeah.
Now you're playing with power.
So it's just like wow. All right. Do you guys have emojis that you would like to give this movie?
Yes. I would give it the car emoji,
Okay.
the skull emoji, and then the little splashes of water,
Yeah.
and then the gravestone emoji.
I love it. I love it. How about you, John?
Next question.
Rory?
After you.
No,
I'm not prepared.
Vince,
I'll
Vince.
go. I have the pager emoji.
Okay.
I have the piggy emoji, and I have the surprised face emoji because I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this film.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I'm looking for my emojis.
You're definitely looking for the teardrop emoji.
Oh, that was obvious.
Yeah. Damn it.
I changed my answer. I say that.
Damn it.
Just one emoji.
So I have the teardrop emoji, and then I'm gonna go with, of course, some bones, some crossbones, and I'm gonna also go with. Is there a priest?
It's probably a cross.
Is there a
emoji.
Is there a priest emoji standing outside a church waiting for someone?
Or a fake ID? Oh, here's an
You have
ID.
an ID?
Yeah, an ID. So yeah, teardrop emoji, some bones, and a fake ID.
I like it.
So I wasn't prepared, so I'm just gonna wing this.
Wait, you weren't prepared? As if we're not doing this every episode?
Oh,
No.
I know. All right, here we go. You ready?
I've never heard the end of an episode.
Oh. I wanna share.
It's
this
not
with
just you, John. It's a lot of people.
So like, I want to say there's a teardrop. I'm just looking for things that remind me of the movie. There's a teardrop. There's a guy in a wheelchair. Let's see.
Got a wheelchair emoji, definitely.
There's a.
Eggplant emoji?
Was there a mouse in the movie?
Another one.
Oh, okay, I can't use that one.
What about the eggplant emoji?
Wait, hold on. Shut up. Wait a minute. Wait. Oh,
Eggplant,
I think there's a
peach,
coat
teardrops.
emoji.
Perfect.
They were wearing coats, and then a thumbs up, and a Freddy bone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like it.
it all makes sense. Sift
Yeah.
through it.
You want to do the plug thing?
Oh yeah, so guys, Elle, John, would you like to plug anything? Do you have any upcoming shows or events that you would like to share?
Or anything you're just excited about?
Okay, well, I'm
Anybody who could like want to
heavily
shame?
involved in the local music scene. I do have a bunch of tribute bands. I'm in a Godsmack tribute band called Realign. You can check us out on Facebook and Instagram. I'm also in a Korn tribute band called
Really?
Issues. Once again, Issues Korn tribute on Facebook and Instagram. And we just recently started a Limp Bizkit tribute act, which we're playing our first show on Friday at the Jazz
Awesome.
Cafe in Wilkes-Barre.
And what's the name of that act?
We are called the Red Cap Assassins, a limp tribute to the biscuit. That is the full name. You have to say the entire thing or else it doesn't count.
Rolls right off the tongue.
And all I gotta say is, yeah! You know?
Love
Elle
it.
hates Limp Bizkit, by the way.
Not bad.
Not a fan.
Well, it is my way or the highway.
Yeah.
I tell her that all the time, and she just looks at me with those accusatory eyes.
How about you, Elle? Anything coming up that you would like to promote?
Anybody
would
want to
like-
shame?
I would like to tell all the lovely people about Three Jack's Burger Bar.
Oh,
It's a wonderful place where you can get most delicious burgers in any PA, try their deep fried pizza, have some fries, and have a good time with some friends.
Elle, we're going to have you back, definitely.
That's going in the ad.
That's it. Vince, anything you would like to plug?
Not necessarily plug, but I just want to get a quick little conversation with Roy. Roy, let's talk about Taylor Swift.
Oh yeah, we saw the Taylor Swift show.
It was one of the best movie experiences I've had in a very long time. I went in there with the smallest expectations, and I was blown away. Because first of all, it wasn't a movie. It was a concert that was in a movie theater. There were people walking around, dancing, Snapchatting, taking pictures while the movie is playing on the screen.
Oh, that's
it
like
was
my nightmare.
wild. It was a lawless time. It was crazy. But the movie was fantastic. The visuals were amazing, and the sound was off the charts.
Spoilers: they kill her off at the end.
That was my favorite part.
Oh.
She gets pushed in front of the car.
I remember you showed me some video from your experience, and I'm just gonna say you just showing up wearing a trench coat was weird.
It
There
was
was.
just a trench coat, wasn't it?
It was just a trench
I
coat.
went with my daughter, and at some point her friend was there, And she was like, can I go hang out with my friend? I'm like, yeah, absolutely, go ahead. And then about 5 minutes later, I realized I'm 40. I'm sitting by myself in a Taylor Swift concert surrounded by teenage girls.
Hey, you know what?
To be fair, he thought he was going to see Oppenheimer.
Hey, you know what though? I'll say this. So Becca wanted to see the Taylor Swift concert. I probably know like 5 of her songs, I would say. I've never had anything against Taylor Swift. Every time I hear her, I'm like, oh, that's catchy, but I don't think too much about it. But went to the concert, and visually speaking, it was fantastic, and the sound was amazing. And I'm like, wow, these songs are like really catchy. So it was like a really good time, and it was cool to see it because this year theaters have not been in the best position.
Yeah.
So Taylor Swift, Christopher Nolan, Greta Gerwig,
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese, just single-handedly saving the movie business. So go fucking check it out.
And like we were saying with Terrifier 2, is like that gives you hope for the industry to do something cool.
Yeah.
Like that's not like that. I am hoping for more concert movies like that.
Yeah.
Like if
You're re-releasing Scorsese's The Last Waltz. Go see
that's
it.
gonna if I could
Concert.
see like Tool or Korn the way I saw Taylor Swift, I would go to see that, and not just once. I would go see
We
it
have
multiple
Korn
times.
here.
We do.
Say hi, John.
Hey, John.
Yeah, some people tell me I resemble Jonathan Davis.
Resemble.
I don't get it.
So yes, with that being said, Ravenview Productions, definitely check that out. I think we have an email address. Is that a thing?
frequelpodcast@gmail.com. And once again, just not interested in any of your thoughts.
Yeah, if it's
suggestions.
negative, just save it for yourself. Only good.
Oh, we just want positive feedback.
Anything
if
that
you
strokes our
want to
ego.
just send us your bank account information.
Last four of your
Mother's
social.
maiden name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
stuff like
things
that.
like that.
List of
Childhood
fears.
pet.
Yeah.
But that's, yeah.
Government secrets.
Yeah, it's just stuff like that. Otherwise, just don't write to us. But yeah, Ravenview Productions, I'll plug that as well. Fourth Cut Reviews.
Yes.
Those,
Yeah.
those cats.
EJ, are you on the Exter? Do you have an Exter handle?
I have our Instagram. You can follow FREAKQUELS_podcast. You'll get some pics, and actually we just started taking some pics of us with our guests and stuff, so that way you can see
Our
that
half shirts.
wearing our half shirts
And our ghetto setup.
You didn't take any
yeah,
pictures of me.
yeah.
Our ghetto backroom
Oh, yeah.
studio.
Just
This is my
your,
bad side.
this is your bottom half.
yeah, just the bottom half. But yeah, I would like to
Dumb
just
cock.
give a shout out. My friend Adam has some music on
Adam Farley?
on Spotify. Check his music out. It's a lot of fun. It's does a lot of pop and rock and stuff, and so it's really good. Check out Ravenview Productions if you want to check out some cool. You could see the trailer we did, and
Trailer for what?
for Burden of Beauty.
It was actually the highest grossing film of 2022 from Three Jacks.
Of all the movies that were created at Three Jacks.
All the
that one.
movies we played last year, mine brought in the most people.
Yeah, and then also, a lot of people always ask me, when will we get to see the full movie?
Soon.
Soon.
That's a great question.
Good
A
answer.
lot of great questions.
Great questions. Great questions.
No, honestly, that is something that should be coming up soon. So,
Awesome. Look forward to that.
Yeah, and then
so that way you guys can leave me a flood of comments of, you know what, this is terrible, and there were better things you could have done with that money.
Yeah. Well, to
less
be
pants.
yeah, less pants, and it's not going to be the first time you've heard that, so it'll be okay.
It's-
You'll be used
yeah.
to it by then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It hurts. It hurts.
It hurts so bad.
Yeah. But yeah.
You got anything else, EJ?
Nope. I thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you to Elle and John for popping in and hanging out and talking some Nightmare on Elm Street 3 with us.
Thank you for having us.
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to
Frequel!